Hello. Have you ever noticed how when someone is a bit down in the dumps and sounds a little bit like Eeyore, that things tend to go downhill fast? Discouragement turns to worry and worry to fear, and then, well, nothing seems to go right. It'll never work. I'll just mess it up. People will laugh at me. Everyone hates me. God has forgotten me. Well, my name is Ian Currey and this is Thinking Out Loud. Come on, let me tell you what I think. Have you ever played that game sometimes called Pooh sticks? Around here there aren't many places to play it, but if there were, I probably would. It's a simple game. You find a bridge over a stream or a river and you stand on it. Then you have to find a couple of sticks. You throw the sticks off the bridge into the water, and then you rush to the other side of the bridge and wait to see which one of the sticks comes out from under the bridge first. Well, then you do it again just to make sure. It's a game that works so much better when there's more than one person playing, and it can easily take up, well, half an afternoon, and you have to have a picnic too. Ask me how I know. We once had a lovely afternoon out somewhere when the boys were very small playing Pooh sticks. I remember it well because one of the boys was too short to see what was happening when he threw the sticks in without climbing on the railings. And since he couldn't climb and hold a stick, he would toss the stick over the wall, not seeing where it was landing, and then rush to the other side and clamber up the rails as quickly as he could, and then peer down at the water. And he was waiting to see if his stick or his brother's would come out from under the bridge first. And part of the point of Pooh sticks is that you really can't tell whose stick is whose. Well, the memory is stuck in my head because for the first few tries there was a cry of, "Daddy, it isn't working," from a frustrated small boy that was met with a giggle from both parents. The stick was being lobbed over the rail into the stream on the downstream side and was never going to appear. While the boys rushed across to the bridge in anticipation, their sticks were gently floating downstream from the side of the bridge. They'd tossed them in. Once this simple but very important calculation error had been corrected, any sticks from a significant distance around were collected and merrily tossed into the water to see which would come out the other side first. Would it come out? Well, it always did. But in those early wrong side throws, "This is silly, it's a silly game, I don't want to play it. It doesn't work, I don't want to do it anymore, it's useless." That was dominating the mood. The spiraling doom and gloom was swiftly corrected and Eeyore was turned into a Tigger. Well, with small boys it's often easier to see discouragement brewing and head it off. But with adults, well, we're so much better at hiding feelings and our thoughts, aren't we? You may have noticed these flags hanging in our house. They've shown up a couple of times in the background of one or two of the videos. The flags have been there for a long time and are a reminder of the time we both spent at sea sailing around the world. The flags are a good reminder to me, and so I have them hung where I can see them often. Let me explain. Very often we don't know how to read people, do we? There can be a smile on a face, and yet deep inside the real thought might be, "Stay away from me, this is a silly game." These flags are signal flags that ships still use today. There are lots of them, and flown in combinations they can communicate all sorts of interesting things. Individually, they represent the letters of the alphabet, but each one also has a meaning all of its own. For example, this one is the D flag, and if a ship flies it on its own, it means I'm maneuvering with difficulty, stay clear of me. Now, wouldn't it be helpful if people had a little flagpole on their shoulder so that such flags could be flown? We wouldn't have to guess how someone was really feeling deep down, would we? Instead of guessing, we would know. We would know how to react to people and perhaps what kind of mood they were in, despite the misleading smile on their face. This one is the Y flag, and it means I'm dragging my anchor. So perhaps people would fly this one when things they'd put their trust in were letting them down. That can be so difficult, can't it? And I can think of a few situations where I'd want to fly that one, can't you? The G flag is one of the most commonly used flags. It means I require a pilot. Now, in most ports, this flag gets flown as the ship gets closer to where it's going so that the pilot boat knows which ship to go to. I suppose people could fly this one when they need someone to help them, perhaps through a difficult situation. But often people try to hide those situations, don't they? Well, perhaps it's because we feel vulnerable. Admitting we need help and not just telling people, stay away from me, or I've been let down, is a great place to be though, isn't it? After all, we can't move on until we deal with things that are hurting our progress. This fourth flag, though, is one I like best. It's the H flag, and it's flown when there is a pilot on board the ship, someone who knows what they're doing and can help show which side of the bridge the sticks need to be thrown in. Well, if you're playing Pooh sticks. I can imagine God being like that, like the pilot. Don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you with my victorious right hand. I love that idea, don't you? Don't be discouraged. But there's a lovely message to the Eeyores hiding here too. It'll never work. I'm useless. There are some funny things in the Bible, aren't there? Look at this, just a couple of verses later in the same passage. For I hold you by your right hand, I, the Lord God. And I say to you, don't be afraid. I am here to help you. And here's the fun part, just for the Eeyores. Though you are a lowly worm, don't be afraid, for I will help you. Now, I know sometimes things can get really on top of us and we just don't feel like playing Pooh sticks. But it's worth remembering that God is an encourager, not someone who's far off or missing when things go really wrong. His way of doing things can be an example to us too. Who are you encouraging? Do you come alongside people who are just a little bit down in the dumps and listen, or perhaps give a hug, or just play Pooh sticks? I have a friend who, whenever I see him, smiles and heads in my direction and gives me a big hug. He works doing the same job I do and is a great encourager. Are you an encourager? When you need encouragement, do you want to fly a keep clear flag or an I need a pilot flag? Having someone who is there just when things don't go right is so important, isn't it? And if you've never stood on a bridge and thrown sticks into the water, just to see which one comes out the other side first, you have to give it a try. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, go ahead and share it with your friends. perhaps it will encourage them. Until next time, goodbye.